Welcome to R&R Showtime with Robert.
And Ryan.
Ryan, what are we doing today?
All right, so as was lightly teased in our Oscar podcast, whenever that was, probably around the Oscar time, we are looking back at the 2020s to look at all the movies that have been nominated for Best Picture in the 5 years that have, the first half of the decade, however that means. So we're starting with the movies that came out in 2020, awarded in 2021, all the way to our most recent nominees. And most of these years, we have actually previously done podcasts on. The only year we didn't do was 2022 for some reason. I guess
Uh,
just didn't do it that year.
yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why we didn't do it that year.
Yeah,
Random to skip that year.
yeah, like literally, especially when low key, like not to spoil anything, but like probably had one of the best movies that year.
Yeah. It's funny.
Uh,
I feel like I remember us doing one because I remember being pleasantly surprised at and both of us were like, we know what the number one is. We like
but I
our number
think
one was definitely the same.
I think it was having to do with our end of the year list because we did do an end of the year list
Yeah.
for that. And so we definitely talked about movies in that year before.
Yeah.
So
Just to be clear, because I made a mistake previously, movies that came out in 2019 and whose Oscars were in 2020 are not on this list.
yes,
So
we
I previously
literally
made a list with the wrong ones because I'm not the smart of the brothers. So
like we started the podcast, started recording. I said that and he was like, wait, what? Wait,
I had to go change my entire list before
I
we did this.
I can't it's not Joker time. I can't get Joker pilled on this podcast.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no. Um,
Well,
though Joker is a very good movie. Would
yep.
have probably been on both of our lists.
Yes, indeed. But
But it doesn't
alas,
really exist. It came out in a different decade that
yep.
no.
Technically came out in 2019. So ignore it. It doesn't exist.
All
But
right.
let us
So
get started. Who's number 10's first round?
I can go first.
Send it, brother.
All right. So at my number 10, and I did do a last minute swap between my 11 and 10, and we'll talk about my 11 later. Maybe it's in your top 10. I know that you liked my 11. My number 10 is going to be the Banshees of Inisherin.
Banshees and Sharon. That one also honestly was almost on my short list. It didn't actually make it on my short list, but it was one of the ones where I was like, I was like when I went through the long list of picking out the films, I was like, oh man, Banshees was pretty good. But I think I had a couple like little gripes about Banshees. Like I think it was one of those movies that like kind of went over my head a little bit where I was like, there's some good
Yes.
stuff here, but I didn't get it.
Yeah, I like it. It's just it is kind of like of all the movies, I think there's a lot of movies. I think the movies that stand out are ones that like feel just like so unique and like I have not seen that kind of movie before, and I don't know if I'll see a movie like it again. And the Banshees of Inisherin is definitely one of those. Again, this is from 2022, so this is the year where we didn't get to talk about it, but it was definitely in my end of the year list. And yeah, just looking back at it, it's just like I just think like even if I just don't remember the plot, I just remember like the look of that movie. It's just got this
Mhm.
distinct like Irish look to it. All the acting in it is fantastic. Colin Farrell could have won Best Actor that year. He didn't, but he could have. Brendan Gleeson's great in it. Barry Keoghan, fucking great. Love
Did,
him.
did he win supporting that year?
No, but the like I'm trying to remember who won to oh freaking he had no chance because that was the Ki Hui Kwan one.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
so but like and I can't remember the name of the sister, but she's also very good in it, her actress's name.
Mm.
But yeah, and then like the plot of it is just like this simple idea of like what happens when your best friend just doesn't want to like he's just like I don't like you.
I don't like you anymore.
And it's just like and it's such a simple tragedy because like they have such a modest life where it's like if that happens, like what do you do? Like
Mhm.
how do you respond to that? Like is
It is, yeah, and it's such a the thing about Banshees is it's a provincial life, right? It is really like they literally live on like an Inisherin is like an island or like a very like a little inlet
Yeah.
of Ireland, and it's a small community, and it's like you only have so many things, you only do so many things for it to be like again, yeah, this is my literal best friend. Who else am I even going to be friends with?
Hmm. And
But
like I think there's also like lightly, I feel like it's set at the same time as like maybe like the troubles are going on Ireland on like the continent, like the actual island. Because like I
mhm,
remember them talking like stuff is going on the mainland.
mhm.
But I don't know. It wouldn't be the only Oscar nominee of the past 5 years to take place during the troubles.
And oh, just to be clear, that Banshees came out in 23,
It came
or
out
was
in
it?
2020, 2022.
So it's the 2023 Oscars,
Yes, the Oscars
right?
from the year
Okay.
2023.
Got it. Just so everybody knows, I'm gonna try and say the year of the Oscars it was in for everybody's sake.
Okay, I'm gonna say the year that they came out.
All right, we're gonna say conflicting, confusing year numbers.
All right. But yeah, so that's my number 10.
Excellent. Well, yours was like an eclectic character study of like an interesting, unique concept. Mine is in 2023, so the same year, the most broad, general appealing vanilla movie. Not vanilla, but I mean like the most anybody could have liked this movie. All American, Top Gun Maverick.
I that's a good movie. Yeah.
It was a good movie. It was just a
Yeah.
really good movie. Like I went
Yeah.
back and I was looking at this list before I had to redo my list. This was in an honorable mention. It was not the number 10. But I'm just like I could not get away. Even looking at the list, there's so many good ones that were like unique and powerful and had all this. But I'm like, you just can't get away from a simple, good movie.
It,
It
it's
was just good all
it's
around.
just a good ride. It was just a good ride. Yeah. Like
Yep.
Tom Cruise, he's doing that his Tom Cruisiest in that movie.
Hmm.
Like I like he's about to, there's about to be the last Mission Impossible movie, and I'm sure it'll be good.
The last Mission Impossible movie.
I
You know
mean,
when we'll have a last Mission Impossible movie?
when Tom Cruise is dead,
Funny enough, not even then, because then they'll just reboot it.
that's
It'll
true.
be the next movie when it's so bad and it fails, and they'll be like, ah, it's over.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I will say all the Mission Impossible movies have been good, but none of them come close to the peak of Top Gun Maverick. Uh,
Yeah.
and quite frankly, the first Top Gun doesn't come close to Top Gun Maverick.
But yeah, I mean that first Top Gun has definitely like a certain vibe to it that's great. But yeah, that second Maverick is I mean
Yeah,
it was an A movie.
that's peak cinema right there. That
Peak
that
cinema.
that was reopening movie theaters post
Hmm.
COVID.
Yep. I that's how yeah, that's why it makes it on the list. Just good movie.
I agree.
But on to my number nine.
Yes.
Okay. My number nine wouldn't have made it, but this definitely was like a movie where I went back and I was like, wow, man, it's like I forgot about this movie. But just thinking of it, I was like, that was the movie that surprised me that year. That I was like, whoa, like, wow, this was so good. Promising Young Woman.
Oh yeah. I
In
remember because I went through and I listened to our old podcast and I heard you talking about Promising Young Women. I'm like, I forgot how high on this movie he was. But
yeah,
like I don't blame you. It is a solid movie.
it was one of those, as we've done these Oscar movie lists over the years, it's that same thing of like I watch, movies that I wouldn't have chosen to watch or didn't already watch in a year just for the benefit of doing this. And I come and I see this, I'm like, what? I wouldn't have even watched this movie, and this movie was great. And that was one where I mean, again, it's from this was in the 2021 Oscar season, so it came out in
In
2020.
2020. Yeah, it
And
came
so, I
out
mean,
in the
yeah,
year where we
5 years
couldn't
ago.
even go to movies theaters.
Hmm. Yeah, but great movie, powerful, just solid ride.
Yeah.
Would recommend if you haven't watched it.
And we also both enjoyed that director's movie that came out after Promising Young Woman, which was Saltburn. Again, more Barry Keoghan.
Like, oh my God, I didn't even realize that was the same director.
Yeah. And
Amazing.
I think she's getting some backlash because Saltburn is a little more mixed. But
Mhm.
her next movie is going to be a remake of Wuthering Heights, so I'm intrigued.
Don't know what Wuthering Heights is, but I honestly
I
I'll
don't
watch whatever
either.
she's making because Promising Young Woman loved that. Saltburn again. I know some people. I heard some of my friends' opinions. And I think we talked about this on one of
Yeah.
our like half year lists, but. We both love Saltburn, and I understand why some people might not have liked it for whatever reasons. But I like what she's doing. I'm digging it, so I'll
I
check her
agree.
next movie for sure.
All right, so that was your number nine.
Hmm.
All right, time for my number nine, and this is uh there's a fear of recency bias, of course, but this is a movie that came out a year ago at this point, so it's not superly recent. But at my number nine, I have Dune Part Two. It is the superior Dune. It is it is cinema. It
It
is
is.
cinema.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. It is a superior Dune by
Yeah.
all means. And this is like not to downplay Dune 1, but again, I'll say it again. We said it in our 2025 Oscar list, and we said it in the year. It's Dune 1 is big and epic, but it's not a whole movie.
No, it's not.
It's just
And
not.
in a way, Dune Part Two isn't technically a whole movie. I definitely benefited from rewatching Dune One before seeing Dune Two, but because I had seen Dune One and all that setup was made, Dune Two was just all killer, no filler.
Yeah. One exactly. Like that was I love that statement. I don't know where you got that from or if you made that up, but that was
It's
a
I
perfect
think it's
statement.
like an album name.
Yeah. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna take that and use it for other stuff because it does describe it perfectly. It is all killer, no filler.
But yeah, what is there to say about Dune Part Two? Like again, it should have been more in contention to actually win Best Picture because we are talking about these as Oscar movies, and Dune Part Two, it really never even stood a shot. We don't need to talk about the fact that you don't even like the movie that won Best Picture,
Yeah.
but
That one best picture just still baffles me.
I
Baffles
I
me.
I it wouldn't have been my choice, but I do like that movie. But yeah, Dune Part Two, it like I'm curious where we go because clearly there's more to tell. There's more that I think Denis wants to tell. There's more that we can see out of young Timothée Chalamet. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll
Dune
see.
Part Two.
I'm interested. I did read the Dune, so I've said this before on the ones I read the Dune book after the first of the movies, but before part two. I have the second one, so Dune Messiah, and so if they're planning to go forward with it, I like be interesting. I'm probably eventually going to read this book here and
I
kind
think
of
it's
get a
pretty. I
fore
think it's pretty
foresight on
set
it.
that there's going to be another one because both of the movies did pretty well. But who knows when it'll actually come out?
The good
Uh,
thing is that Dune Messiah is much smaller than Dune One, so they can't actually just do one movie.
yeah. That is my nine. So I go into my eight, right? Because you already said your nine.
Yes, indeed.
All right. So my number eight. This is part of the list where we're actually looking at your original top 10 because you had to
Mhm.
throw in two honorable mentions. But my number eight, again, maybe recency bias here. And I literally watched this movie this year. So like within the past 5 months. But I just think I'm Still Here is such a great movie. Like I like I it I cannot say enough about the fact that that movie brought me to tears in like such a simple profoundly affecting way. It's just like it's not the showiest flashiest movie. It's like a movie about real people going through like a real sort of tragedy, but it like and I think it has a lot to do with that main acting performance that like conveys this sort of like sorrow.
I all respect. Honestly, it's like it's hard to like do are we having recency bias because it was recent? The thing is, I'll tell you right now, my number eight is also gonna be is it recency bias? Because it's a 2025er. It's a most recent Oscars. But the thing is, there's only two 2025 movies on this list of 10. Like I went through, I tried to also have the same lens, and you could
I
call
do
it
have
recency, but
I
I'm
have
like,
three movies from the most
okay, well,
recent.
you have recency bias
Yeah,
then,
I do.
clearly.
Obviously.
I don't know that it really is. I mean, you know what? It could be. but it is what it is. We're making this list now. So this is just how we feel, guys. If we change our minds, we change our minds. In fact, I think there might be a movie later where it really will represent like almost like a I changed my mind from like what I even thought from that year to like right now. Looking
I'm
back.
I'm curious to see. I want to see you have like a slight change of opinion.
Yeah. It'll be I think it won't be you'll see. It won't be like
Okay.
totally out of the blue per
Yeah.
se, but it really will be like when I reflected, I was like, wow. You'll see. I'll explain it a little
Okay.
later.
I'm
But
curious.
leading into my number eight, it is a 2025er, and it is this also could be recency bias. I will give this one recency bias. It is Wicked.
Okay.
And again, the same thing when we did our Oscars this year. I watched it twice, and Angela and I literally listened to the soundtrack probably 100 times. So that kind of, even if the movie, it might not be the movie, but just you listen to those songs enough, and you're just belting out, Defying Gravity while you're driving around. It's hard to not like have it still stuck in my head. So
I've said
that
it
that makes
before
it
and
on my
I
eight. It feels good. That's probably a recency bias a little bit, but it is what it is.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Something has changed within you. Something is not the same.
Well
But
said.
yeah,
Well said.
Wicked was fun, and I'm curious to see what number two brings us because I don't know the
Mhm.
Wicked story.
I'm hoping before, if I get the opportunity, if it comes up to go check the play out again
Mhm.
here, because I did see the play, but it's like a little bit of the
There's a
details are
long
like
time ago.
lost.
Yeah.
It's like I don't remember everything perfectly, but I do know,
Yeah.
the end of it already. Um, but that is my number eight. This is taking my number seven, your number seven.
You're number seven.
My number seven. My number seven is the 2023 Oscars, All Quiet on the Western Front.
Solid movie. Good movie.
Solid movie, and from another perspective, a lot of World War II movies out there. And I find that I always really enjoy World War II
Isn't
movies. I like the era.
All
But I
Quiet
like
is World War I, isn't it?
World War I. Sorry, yeah, sorry. Good catch. Sorry, I was just throwing it out there.
I
But
could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what sets that movie. I'm gonna double check that.
yeah, double check that. But like the main big thing being is that it's set from a different perspective, right? We always get the, rah rah, like, the Americans, us versus the oh my God, why can't I even remember what the Axis forces, right? Axis forces,
Yeah.
if we're talking about
Yes.
the World
Because
War II.
the original novel came out in 1929, so that would be World War I.
Yeah. But just seeing war depicted in different ways, right? There's always like the triumph of of our heroes and overcoming evil, you could say, but like sometimes just getting that like depth of perspective of like the brutality of war, how it doesn't matter what side you're on, like it's just awful. Like it's all awful and everybody's suffering and like everybody's a human in the end, like everybody's just trying to fight for their own cause, and it's and also in the end it's not about happy endings, like sometimes it's just your friends die, you die, nobody really wins in the end. And that one really does, like by the end it's like, well, we negotiated an armistice, okay, but the armistice ends tomorrow. Let's
Yeah.
go do one more
So
battle. Let's have like another few hundreds of men just die because
yeah,
we're still technically in war. It's it's raw, it's guttural, they're in the dirt, in the trenches, and like it evokes a lot of feeling, and I just, yeah, like that was when, like when I was skating through, I was like, this one's got to be on my list. It's just really really solid. So,
yeah. Well,
but
All Quiet on
that's
the
my number
Western
seven.
Front's real good. In the oeuvre of World War I movies, like quite good. Again, we couldn't include it in this list, but 1917 is the other
Yeah,
World War I movie. Kind of that is like peak for me in terms of
yeah,
maybe war movies in general.
yeah. 1917 was my number four when I did my list wrong before this. It was my number four in this list.
It might have been my two or three if we were including it.
Yeah,
Uh, I think that movie's quite great. But so that's my number seven then.
yes, sir.
All right, I'm already pleased at how much not overlap we're having because it means we have to talk about more movies. And I know
Mhm.
that this is not on your list because you didn't like it very much, but my number seven, uh, from the year 2023 at the 2024 Oscar ceremony is
Mhm.
Anatomy of a Fall.
Man, it's so funny when I was scanning my list, I was looking at that year, and I remember thinking like this year wasn't that good. Like this year had some like pretty there was like a couple standouts, but like the other ones are like eh. And it I will say, much as it happens sometimes in a little retrospect, like I'm like trying to review the movie more in my head, and I'm like, I see why it was significant. It's definitely got some like good parts, but like again, it just didn't wow me as much as
It
I
wow
would, you would
it
hope.
it like the I think the power of the movie is just like it's just a really good like piece of like suspenseful it's like a crime movie in which like did a crime even actually happen,
Yeah.
like that's part of like the question, and but it's not even really about that. It's like about like what happened, like the outcome of a tragedy, like and how it like it can make itself worse, and like how it can like bring to light like the other. I it's just it was just a great watch, and main actress Sandra Hüller also in Zone of Interest that year.
Mm.
She just puts on a great performance. The child actor puts on a great performance. Um,
And wasn't he actually blind too?
that I do not know. I would believe it, but I actually do not know if he was actually blind.
Mm.
But and like again, Sandra Hüller, I already said she had a good performance, but like she has a good performance speaking in like multiple languages
Yeah.
because she speaks English, she speaks German, she speaks, and I think there's like another because they're in France, I want to say.
Yes,
Like
either or Germany. It's either she's
she in
French in
German,
Germany or she's
living.
German. Yeah.
She's German, living in a
Yeah.
country that where she does not speak the native language. So
Yeah,
like
I think it's French
other
then.
people,
They're
I
they're
think
in
the other
France.
people are speaking French to her, and she's less fluent in it, which is
Yeah.
why a lot of English happens to like because that's more of a middle ground. But yeah, like and but she's pulling off working in multiple languages. But yeah, again, the movie's just solid. I love it. It's a great time.
Fair enough. Respect.
So that's my number six, I think. Or you already did
Yep.
your seven? All
I
right,
did
my
my
number
seven.
six.
Yep. Yours.
All right, and so this is my first movie that I'm talking about from the distant past of the year 2020. And this was I got the pleasure to actually see this movie in a theater because of the Cinemark Oscar movie week. I was able to
Mhm.
like go in and watch it in a theater. And this is where I actually did change some ranking because this was my number one of that year.
Mhm.
But I did put another movie ahead of it from the same year, but at the time it was my number one, and so at number six right now is Minari.
Minari. I'm just gonna admit because I only have so many honorable mentions. Minari was right behind making it on my top 10. So
It's
totally
just
respect that.
it's just like this like it's also been so long since I saw it, but the way that it sort of impacted me, and it's sort of like subtle ways, and also it's not so subtle way. I think at this point, I still feel like it's probably not good to spoil it, but like the sort of like e- ending set piece thing that occurs in the movie, the way that
Mhm.
that like the sort of like it in a way it's small, but like its impact was so large on these characters, and like you see it happen, and it's just like especially because it happens when you think something good is happening for them, and it's only like subverted by this tragic thing. It it was just it's just a good movie. I
I,
keep saying I'm gonna have to keep saying that, but
yeah.
again, I also want to know acting performances. I do not remember her name, but she plays the grandma in the movie, and I believe she actually won Best Supporting Actress that year.
Mhm.
And she just has a delightful performance. Drinking piss Mountain Dew,
Mhm.
and obviously Stephen Yoon. He deserves to carry more movies as a leading actor, quite
Yeah.
frankly. But yeah, Minari just a it, it's a smaller movie, and it's a movie that falls into the category of if I was not doing these lists, I would not have watched it.
Yep. It's again, it's one of those ones that was not our first year doing it, but it was our second year, and it was like, oh, I gotta that was
It
like
it was our first year doing it as a podcast.
was it?
Yeah,
Oh,
that was our first year. because it's the 20.
Oh, okay.
That's
So
why
I
that's the other reason why we weren't including 2019 because I didn't even know if you had seen all those movies.
Yeah. So I think maybe it's just before that we were talking about movies and we kind of were like we're ranking them and that's
Yeah.
how we even got the idea. But
I
yeah,
had
that
started
was the year. Oh,
I
go
had
ahead.
started I had started like going out of my way to try and watch all the Oscar movies prior to that year, and I think that's where I got you to start doing it that
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, and that really was again same thing with promise. That was yeah, promising young woman. I said the same thing. It was when we I went out of the way to see something I would not have, and Minari was the same. Minari is like essentially my 11, right? It really was like if after I moved things up on the list, like that would have been the next one to get on the list if it had to move more.
And I have a feeling that we might have the same other movie from 2020 on the list. I have a feeling that you might have picked another movie. I think it
Yes,
also
my
fits.
number six. In fact, coming up is my other 2021 on this list or 2021 Oscar season.
Yeah.
So, what do you think it is?
I think it's I think it's got Anthony Hopkins in it.
Oh, it actually does, in fact, have Anthony Hopkins in it. It is, yes. My number six is The Father. It
All right.
is again, being that these are movies are legit almost 5 years old now. That movie is such a profound mind bender. It is if you how can any of us understand what Alzheimer's is, dementia is for like without experiencing it, other than to see how it like how it looks, how to a person experiencing it in front of us. But that movie it like puts you so much it like gives I mean whether it's like exact or anything but it gives you such a sense of feeling where you're like if that it again it brings so much emotion to feel as if that's what it is like and it's like it's just done so well like coming up even with the concept to put that together and then Anthony Hopkins like that performance I mean it's again it's phenomenal. It's such that's a unique movie that just gives you this perspective on such a tragic thing, and it gives you so I feel like if you obviously it's like okay maybe you've known some people your grandparents or anybody that's on the older side that might be experiencing some of it, and if you didn't already have an understanding of that, like it can just open you up to so much empathy of like how just kind of like awful that condition could be. And it's just done so well. It's so interesting, like how it's put together. So yeah, I mean, like I again when I was looking at the list, it jumped. I was like, oh, that one, it has to be on here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my number six. 20. So we had our 2020 release 2021 Oscar movies right next to each other there.
Yeah. I will have to save some of my thoughts because it's not I I've kind of given away that it's on my list already,
Ah.
but it is a little bit higher up. So um if that those are your thoughts, you can go into your number five then.
My number five. I don't know. I'm wondering if this will be on your list as well, but it is Oppenheimer from 2024, 2023 release, 2024 Oscars.
I am
Uh,
I thought you were a little more down on that movie at the time.
this is a little bit it's not quite the one where I made a big change, but I think the year that it came out, like actually let me know, I'm gonna pull it up because I reflected on these movies and looking at like just looking at everything that came out that year. I mean, again, it's like Anatomy of a Fall, American Fiction, Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon. All those are like not none of those peaked out to me. Past Lives good, but it was another one where I'm like didn't jump that much. Maestro, actually that one was like better than expected, and Zone of Interest and Poor Thing was I was like I didn't really dig it much at all. Those movies most of those really didn't didn't
Zone
like
of,
they didn't supremely jump out to me. There's
Zone
only
of
one
Interest
other
was
movie
your
on
number
that
one,
list.
wasn't it?
Huh?
Was it Zone of Interest? I think that was your number one that year, right?
Oh man, maybe it's one that I didn't double check on because
It was one or
Zone of
two.
Interest might have been. Oh man, Zone of Interest was. Yeah, that was the. I might have gotten that one on this list. I just didn't double check what that one was. This is where like I'm reviewing through so many movies and like double checking them, and I thought Zone of Interest was actually something different than what it was. Now you're making me think about it.
It's a
Zone of Interest was good. It might have jumped up more, but it is reflecting more. And I just thought about it. I'm like Oppenheimer really was like stand out. Like it does just stick in your head more. That the fact of that Oppenheimer, I remembered exactly. Remember that whole movie, right? Zone of Interest faded from perspective, right? It didn't cement in me as much as one would hope. So not to make say any less of it, because again, Zone of Interest is a powerful movie. It's another good like perspective movie on historical events, World War II, from an interesting, unique perspective, and it is powerful. But like in the test of time, right? This is the thing too. Doing this list far later, what sticks out to you after years,
That's
right?
true.
Like that
I
year,
think that's
powerful
fair.
after time. That didn't it didn't make me, oh my God, well, yeah, that movie, go back to it.
In a
And
way,
that's the
that's
interesting thing about reflecting this way.
yeah. In a way, that's surprising because I would have thought Zone of Interest would have made your list based on because I went ahead and I listened, and so I remember how it impacted you at the time. So, like, I again, so the I do think it's good that we take a time to note that that is a good movie
It is
because
a good movie.
it's not on
Yes.
my list because I was a little lower on it, but again, I thought it was a strong year in general.
Yeah.
Uh,
That
so
that but that okay, like that is the interesting thing here. Like there are some movies that Ryan and I talked before the recording. There are some movies on this list that we had to look up what they were because we forgot what exactly they were. And Zone of Interest
and
is one of
like
those. I looked at it and was like, I wasn't even sure exactly what it was, but I was like, the fact that it didn't jump out, like that I couldn't quite remember, and I didn't even feel tempted to like, oh, let me double check what movie this is, made it be like I went through that list and there were just ones where I was like, yes, 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 yes. And I banged all those ones down. And I was like,
and
this is the easiest way for me to do the list.
and this includes movies that were like straight up good, like a movie that would be in my honorable mentions. I'm just going to bring it up now. Drive My Car. I kind of
Mhm.
forgot what that movie was about, and I went to like look. I was like, oh, that movie was really freaking good.
Yeah,
But
precisely.
yeah, so that was your number five, right?
Hmm.
All right, so I think I should go into my number. Your number five was Oppenheimer. I'm going to go into my number five, which is my last potential recency bias, but
Hmm.
came out on my birthday last year. Is a little movie called The Substance.
The Substance. Yeah. That
It's
I mean, it's funny, like that's opposite recency bias because I'm like, I saw that and I was like, definitely not in my top 10.
yeah,
Decent movie. I still remember how that ending and being like, nah, bro.
like if it works for me, it works for me. In this movie, it worked for me. Like I like maybe it shouldn't be as high as it is because like I do see it as in ways a flawed movie, but I think almost the flaws almost feel like intentional. It feels like this movie isn't necessarily just like a like it's not some polished like perfect product. It's a little messy, like some of the plot of it doesn't make all that much sense and like wouldn't really happen, and it's set in this like world that's like it's basically our world but it's not. Like it is very clearly this is not what our world is like there's not like the New Year's show. That's not a thing. Like they treat it in the movie like, oh yeah, we all know what the New Year's show is, but like, no, what? That's not a thing. That's not just
But
like a thing.
it's that characterization, right? It's a
And
caricature of our world.
yeah, so it's like you don't need it. We're not going into like fully nuanced like details of like the real world. We're just like this is basically you get it right, and like I
Yeah.
got it, and I liked
Yep.
it. And Demi Moore, Loki should have won Best Actress. That's just my opinion. Margaret Qualley, she's a star in the making. Dennis Quaid, don't let him eat shrimp ever again. But yeah,
Oh my God. That you know what that does, that shrimp eating, I like to think about it. It just sets like a tone. It sets an early tone for
yeah,
like how I don't know if it's visceral, I'd say, but
visceral.
just like like that it's something about like, yeah, like focusing on this like almost just intensely sort of gross thing, body
It's
thing
the
chewing.
grotesqueness, yeah, that sort of
Yeah.
like gets you prepared for what's to come. I
Yeah.
agree. All right, that's my number five though, and then my number four. Uh, you just talked about it not too long ago, but my number four is uh El Padre, the Father.
Il Padre. If
I
outer.
it really is just an exceptional piece. like Anthony Hopkins won Best Actor for a reason. And even though he wasn't there for it, and everyone thought it was going to be Chadwick Boseman winning a posthumous Oscar, but like, I think the shock of the moment made people like kind of question it. But when you
Mhm.
look back at it and you see the performance in The Father, it like he
Mhm.
really was the only one that could have won. He was
Yeah.
just like it. It's just it's The Father, and
Yeah.
Olivia Colman was in that. She's great too.
Yep. I again, like we already talked about it. It was stellar. Anthony Hopkins. I mean, he's an all-star. I think I can go through my four relatively quickly because we also have already talked about it, and it is Dune 2. Recency
Ah,
bias, maybe, but yeah, Dune 2, fire. I mean, fantastic movie. That, and I would say, I will admit, maybe it's higher on the list because recency bias. That I would might admit. But again, it's you can't big bombastic, huge, great movie. Um, so yeah, that's number four. We are coming up on our top three. So these are like, I mean, this is pretty like the runners right here of the last 5 years or
yeah.
so.
These are
So
these are the peak of the peak. This is where hey, no, you have named one best picture so far. You have named I've named zero best picture so far, but in the top three, I think we're both gonna name at least one.
at least one. I
At
think I
least
can
one.
guarantee it. In fact,
Yeah.
this is the only thing I think both of us can agree where we know exactly what one of these is going to be. And if anybody has ever heard us talk about movies for the last couple of years, you might be able to guess what it is too.
I think, yeah. Um, obviously,
Well,
I
we'll
don't want
save
to.
it.
I mean, obviously, don't look up, but
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. I mean, oh God, you're spoiling it, Ryan.
damn it.
But so my number three, and I think this is kind of what I was touching on earlier, where it was a looking back, reflecting how my thoughts changed, and I feel like this might be just a little surprising, but not too surprising. My number three is from the 2024 Oscars, 2023 release, The Holdovers.
That is not that surprising to me.
Not
I
that
expected
surprising,
this to
but
be in your list, to be honest.
yeah, I think that was a year where that was like the one movie I didn't watch, I think, for that actual Oscars. And I was like, oh, I missed this one. And then I lost it. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. Do you remember if I actually saw it that year, if I did make it on or
You definitely saw it because you had it ranked
okay, I
pretty
did.
high. I think we
Yeah,
were
okay, good. Well, so
literally we walked when we were. I do think I remember this in the podcast. When we end the podcast, I was I think we were like, what movie? Like if we were going to recommend any movie to someone to just watch, we were both like, The Holdovers. Yeah, someone should.
yeah.
It, anybody can watch The Holdovers and have a good time.
Yep.
And I agree with that. And it's going to be one of my it. Oh, I'll just say it's an honorable mention for me.
Yeah. Holdovers, it's much the way that maybe you when you were talking about like Banshees of Inisherin or even like Anatomy of a Fall, right? In the same realm of like something that's simple but like powerful and like it had just this like a charm. Paul Giamatti like was just like wow, like stellar in that movie. And again, it's like it's sometimes interesting how these like movies that aren't like they're not like there's not Dune, it's not Wicked, it's not like
Yeah.
these huge bombastic Oppenheimer crazy big movies that are like kind of spectacular. They're
Well, they
like
can have a
so
profound
simple.
impact. They can have a
Yeah.
profound impact on you when it feels
Yeah.
like it's like just people living their life. And
Mhm.
yeah, The Holdovers, it really is. It's like an instant classic movie. Like,
Mhm.
honestly, when I see it, not in my top 10, there's a part of me that's like, I'm wrong. I am
Yeah.
incorrect right now.
Yeah.
Not having
Bad,
it in
Brian.
my top
Bad.
10.
Well,
Like,
that's all right. It got into my top 10 for the both of us.
thank God.
But yeah,
It deserves to be talked about. It's like an instant classic. It's a movie. They don't make them like that anymore, except they do because they made it like
yeah.
2 years ago.
And I love that it's like it's funny how you say it's like instant classic. They don't make it like that anymore. They literally made it like it was a classic made like I mean if you had said it was made,
Yeah,
20 years before, 30 years before, like it would yeah, I mean it's like filmed that way.
yeah,
So
exactly.
just great movie. And again, it's reflecting, looking back in my mind, just looking at that list, it was just like easy to pick out.
And it's a Christmas movie, so you can watch it every year.
Yep. You can watch it for Christmas. That's one I'm like, I would try and like get people where it's like, oh, everybody's like, oh, watch Christmas movie this year. And you guys, some of the classic Christmas movies. I'm like, have you watched this? This is a
Yeah.
Christmas movie. You should watch
I
this.
I think I had a friend that was like, I'm looking for a new Christmas movie. I'm like, you should watch The Holdovers.
Yeah, absolutely. But Holdovers, number three, that's a top three right there of the last 5 years. Ryan, what is your top three?
My number three, and this is a movie that was not only did I have this ranked as my number one movie of the year that we ranked the best pictures. It was also my number one movie of that prior year of all movies I had seen that year. And I recently rewatched it, and I can confirm it is a stellar movie. It is a great directed movie by a great director. It's got a stellar cast of people that we have gone on to see. Some of them do good things, and some of them not so much. But my number three is Steven Spielberg's West Side Story.
Respect. That one almost, it wasn't in my 14s, but there was a little bit when I was going through I kind of like had to go through the list a couple times, and I was like, ooh, West Side Story. Ooh, that really might like, man, and I didn't quite grab it, right? But it
I
was good.
I would like to note for you that in that year, I think it was both of our number ones.
Yeah.
So and like I'm glad that I rewatched it because like it did sort of affirm for me like it is like the way it is directed, the way it looks is just it just looks great the whole time.
Mm.
The music, it's the classic music of the original, but like it's like all the performances, all the singing is great. I mentioned the cast is really good in it. You got what is it? It's a Rachel.
At McAdams or
No, it's though she's in the new Snow White movie.
yeah, is it like Rachel? No, wait, no, that I'm
Is
thinking of
it
somebody
Rachel
different.
Zegler?
Stegler, yeah.
Yeah, Rachel Zegler. She plays Maria, and this is like I think like this was basically her breakout, and like she's gone on to like do like Hunger Games and obviously the new Snow White, and I don't think any of that has really been as much as she has deserved with how great of a performance she gave in West Side Story.
Mm.
Mike Feist, who was he was the jet the friend of like the main character,
Uh,
and he went on to be in Challengers.
yes. Oh my God. Yeah, him. Yeah,
Yes,
he went up. That was in Challengers. Freaking so annoying. It's not even on these
we're not
lists.
allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, we can't talk about Challengers because it can get a nomination, which is bullshit.
Not allowed. It and I cannot get away without talking about Ariana DeBose, who fully has not had a good lineup of movies since West Side Story, but she really bodies that movie.
Mm.
She carries it on her back. Like any scene she is in, I like she is just this great performance that quite frankly if she was not in it the movie would be like kind of mid, but she elevates every scene she is in, and she went on to be the voice of the lady from Wish.
Cool.
Yeah, and she was like in like some space movie. I feel bad, she's not getting good.
You're
She's
like
not,
she was the voice actress of a super mid, not great. I haven't even seen it.
it's
Pixar
not
movie?
mid,
Was
it's
that Pixar?
bad. No, it
Hmm?
is Disney.
It was
It was
Disney,
their 100-year anniversary movie and it was not good.
and it was trash,
Yeah,
garbage.
yeah, it's unfortunate, but in West Side Story, she was incredible and she won the Oscar for it, deservedly so.
Mm-hmm.
But that is
Oh
West
yeah.
Side Story. That is my number three. All right, I already know we're gonna have different number twos because you've already talked about my number two. My
Uh,
number two is my first best picture I get to talk about, Oppenheimer.
ah.
Yeah, so we have the same best picture pick so far on here.
Mm-hmm.
But Oppenheimer, it really is. It's just like that's peak cinema, dude. That's
Mm-hmm.
like Christopher Nolan. I think prior to that, his previous movie was like what Tenet, right? And
Yeah.
like obviously a bit of a disappointment there. Before
Hey, just intense. I like Tenet, so
it's good, like it's fine. Um, uh, but like it like and prior to that was Dunkirk, which it's good, it's fine.
Also, haven't watched it. Me, just for the audience, me and Ryan talked about Dunkirk right before this,
Yeah,
and Dunkirk was again thought I would like it. I like movies set in that era. I like World War II movies. I even know the history of Dunkirk. I've read, like books about it. Literally watched like 30 minutes of it and was like, I don't even want to finish this. So, not that
I
it's a bad movie, but I didn't even get to finishing it.
I think that was the first year that I set out to watch all the Best Picture nominees, so that's why I watched Dunkirk. And yeah, it's good. But like Oppenheimer is like he went full juice. Like he's just like
Mhm.
people need to respect the fact that I'm maybe the best director working right now, and he
Mhm.
did it with Oppenheimer. And like the cast of people, that's another thing that just goes to show you can just watch the movie and be like, oh my god, this person's in this playing this bit part, because you
Mhm.
know that they were just like, oh, I want to be in the new Nolan movie, please let
Yep.
me,
Yep.
please.
Hmm.
And the fact that it's also like Nolan has worked with Cillian Murphy in multiple movies where he plays kind of small bits, and like this is where he's just like, hey man, I got you. You've been with me in a bunch of movies. Here you go. Get ready to win Best Actor, which he did.
Yeah. He said, I'm putting this one on your back, brother.
And Cillian Murphy carried that shit.
Hmm.
It's just, and Robert Downey Jr.
Hmm.
also fucking
It's
baller.
crazy, crazy to think that since I think I can't remember who's talking to somebody about this, that since coming out of Marvel, that's like one of the only things to Robert Downey Jr.'s name that he's really been doing so like since then.
Well, he did Doctor Doolittle.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
And
We'll
now
we'll
he's
do
going
him a
back,
favor and not talk about
and
that.
now he's back in Marvel
Exactly.
as a
That
different
that's
doc,
even that
as a
like it's
different
like
doctor do something.
yeah,
Doctor do
different doctor do something. Yeah. But it is a that's funny. Yeah, different doctor do something. But like that's I mean at least that's something to have picked up on like since Marvel where you really would like to see him and Robert Downey Jr. playing some iconic stuff along the way. You would like to see him, keep running through some things
flexing
and yeah, that was
flexing
stellar
his
performance
acting
there.
muscles, because he's great, and he
Yeah.
did a great job in Oppenheimer. Everyone in
Yeah.
Oppenheimer did a great job. It's a great movie.
Yep.
Enough said.
Yeah, enough said. Well, moving back to my number two,
Yes.
Best Picture nominee. Did you guess what I'm gonna do here, Brian? It is a
Uh
Best Picture nominee.
is I mean they
We
should all.
also we also both agreed. We both predicted this would be Best Picture, I think.
Did it win Best Picture?
It did.
Okay, so this might be the movie that I just swapped out at my number 11. It might be. Um,
It
it what is it?
is Coda.
If that is the movie I swapped out, it's my number
Yeah.
11.
So yeah, child of deaf adult. That year, that was again 2022 Oscar, 2021 release. Yeah, that was one of those movies where it was like again, simple. It's not crazy. It's not bombastic. It's another one of those like it's literally just about the child of deaf adults, and it's not even like there's like no. I don't think there's any like notable actors like create like super A-list actors in it, and it
Marlene
just
Matlin as the mom, like, but again, she's not like super famous.
yeah, it just steals it in the simplest way. It just
Yeah,
tells a perfect, beautiful little story in its way. And even now, that year it was like, wow, this movie's amazing. We both I think we both said it was our number ones of the year.
it was
We
actually
said it
both of
should
our number two,
it's exactly. So
behind
oh
behind West Side Story.
yeah. So it's yeah, I mean that's that. It literally it was the best picture that year, and I went back through and I just really like reflected on it in my mind and how it made me feel. I was like, this, yeah, it's got to be it's still up on my list. Like that's why I felt that way then.
I'm gonna be real, because it was at my number 10, and it honestly could have been higher. I think maybe I have allowed other people's opinions to color my opinion of this movie. Not entirely, because obviously it's still number 11. I still think it's a great movie. And like I would have liked West Side Story to win, but I'm not upset at Coda winning Best Picture that year.
Mm,
Like any of three movies could have won that year, and I would have been happy. I would have been happy with Coda. I would have been happy with West Side Story. I would have been happy with Power of the Dog.
mm,
Um, but and I Coda is a great movie. It's a feel good movie. I've definitely seen people say that that movie. I've heard it referred to as a Disney Channel original movie,
mm.
which I think
Interesting.
like and I don't think it is in terms of like craft of the film. I think it's more in terms of like the plot being like something you could see like as a Disney Channel original movie. Like the plot feels like very standard and like you could also say maybe even shallow, but I think it works in a profound way, and I think it is elevated by the performances. The father actor, I still remember that scene when they're
Mm,
on like they're outside, I think like in the back of the truck, and he
mm.
can't hear the music, but like he like feels the music with her, and like they're like crying, and I'm like, this shit slaps. This movie's great.
Yep.
And it's another movie where it's like, had it not been nominated for Best Picture, I wouldn't have watched it.
Exactly. Exactly. It's that same feeling that we've talked about it again. I talk about it like every time when I watch some movie that I never would have watched. And it's exactly one of those. It's like, I would have never watched this movie. What coda? What does it even stand for? Like, but it is. And this is the thing, the beautiful thing about movies in general is that as an art form again, we got stuff on the list. We have an Oppenheimer, right? We have big things. You can do so many things in your own way, right? In movies, and them be great in those different ways, right? 1917, Oppenheimer, The Holdovers, right? These are all like totally different movies, but they're
Yeah.
all like so significant, profound in each way that what they're just trying to achieve their thing and communicate emotion and a story and a narrative how they do. And when it's done well, it's just good. This is the difference. Again, I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but this is the thing about movies these days where some people be like, oh, well, this movie's pretty good. This movie's pretty good. It's when you watch movies that are like great, profound, they take you on a different like they pull something out of you, they make you feel something, and whatever that is, whatever it is, it doesn't always have to be big and crazy, right? But even just something simple, like emotional, right? It touches on something like that's like the beauty of filmmaking.
Yeah.
That's why it's significant. It doesn't always have to be. It isn't like, I mean, it's not like Marvel movies get on. They might make tons of money, but they're not necessarily the ones that get nominated, and they're not the ones that like maybe last stay with you forever. Though there are some Marvel movies I really love
Yeah,
and do stay with
obviously.
me.
I think yeah, there definitely are. And again, like I actually think I really like the sort of trail you're going on, like talking about the impact of movies. It is that thing where it's like you never go into a movie like you never walk into a movie theater like, well, this is gonna suck, or at least you shouldn't. The hope that of any movie fan is that they walk into a movie and they're just like, I hope that this is my favorite movie. I
Mhm.
hope that this movie is great. Like sometimes you maybe have a feeling that you might not like a movie, and then your mind has changed. You have
Yeah.
like this impact on you,
Yeah.
and like some things hit people different. Like our lists are not the same. Like
Mhm.
I have stuff that I love that you're just like, oh yeah, it's fine, or in vice versa. Movies, all these movies were nominated for Best Picture, which means that there was a group of people that were like, yeah, this is one of the best movies of the year. Like even the movies on this greater list of 48 movies, there are movies on here I think suck, but someone thought was great.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's why it's great to do a little reflecting, look at at these best nominees, and in like so many ways, it's like, yeah, everything on here was literally nominated as the best. So we know that they're all good to some degree. Even the ones where I'm like, I don't agree. I'm like, yeah, well, they're still good though. Like it still was a cool, interesting concept. It just didn't maybe touch me in the right places and
Yeah.
pull the things out of me. But we do know one movie in the last 5 years that hit every bright point and made it on both our number ones. I have no freaking doubts about what we're about to both say as I
I,
as I
I
lead into this.
Like literally it like I was talking about like you leave a movie hoping that it's your favorite movie and
Mhm.
like this is a movie where it's like, oh damn, that might have just happened.
Yeah, that might have just happened. This movie is the benchmark by which I judge all other movies, whether they're an A plus or not. It is what I reference every time as an A plus movie, without a doubt, easy. I'm like, did this make me feel like our number one?
Like legit, there are movies that came out that same year where I was like, damn, this is one of this is an incredible movie, but it's
Mhm.
not that movie.
But it's not that movie, and we're dancing around it. What is our number one movie, Ryan?
I mean, it is everything. It is
Everywhere.
everywhere, and it is all at once.
All at once. That movie I mean, it swept its year at the Oscars deservedly.
Deservedly.
It is a movie that takes you on a roller coaster of emotion from laughing to crying and back to laughing and back to crying again. And it has an emotional impact and a unique, totally like, out there like story that works perfectly and ends perfectly. It is a A plus. It is a perfect movie. It is
And
literally a perfect movie, flawless.
it literally is, and it is a movie where like I like a lot of these movies, honestly, a great deal of these movies I've not watched more than once. I'd say the
Mhm.
only movies that I've seen more than twice are Oppenheimer, Barbie, which almost made my list. It's an honorable mention, and Everything Everywhere All at Once. And every time I see that movie, I'm like, yeah, this is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. Like
Yep.
I literally forget how like meticulously made it is. Like I forget how well the plot it like I don't it's like baffling that that movie got made, that it
Mhm.
is able to exist and work as well as it does.
Absolutely. That is it's one of the craziest things too, is it's like so many of these other movies, like, what like Dune 2, based on a book. Like literally somebody else wrote it, right? Like some of these other ones, they're taking like mainstream type lines, like, hey, just a regular type story. Hey, holdovers, just a story about some kids that are held over from school, right? The father, it's got a concept that's doing, it's like, oh, it's Alzheimer's we're depicting. They all do something, right? But everything everywhere all at once literally is about like multi-dimensional time stuff going on, and like not it's like it's such a big huge concept and takes it all in a way that you can digest, that again it's irreverent to itself but very serious. It's
Yes.
like I don't it's like how much can like it's like hard to even explain how good it is. And like it feels like you're I'm like afraid, like, oh, you listen to this, you're like, oh, it can't be that good. I'm overblowing it. I'm like, it's the only movie that I can say this about and not be like, yo, if you watch that and you don't agree, you feel however you want, you're wrong. Like,
Yeah, I've known I've seen a person watch that movie and like leave it like not experiencing it the way I did. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
I know I'm right.
hey, you have a right to your wrong opinion.
I look, hey, I'm sorry. I feel so bad for you that you just watched that and you didn't like you didn't see the movie I just saw. Like you were watching something else, and I feel so bad for you.
Yeah.
You are in the dimension where you don't get this movie, and I am so
Yeah,
sorry for you.
which is unfortunate. But again, yeah, we can't say enough. We've said it for years. I mean, literally, I know that like all the time I mention everything ever all at once on other movies where I'm like, yeah, I really thought about this and I was like, did I really think it was an A plus? Was it in everything everywhere all at once? And I was like, no. I'm like,
And it's crazy that it was the literal year we didn't do the Best Picture
yeah,
podcast.
yeah, of course.
The one
So
year that we didn't talk about it. But yeah, like and again, that was a crazy year. Freaking RRR came out that year, and like that movie's insanely good too, but
yeah,
it wasn't everything everywhere all at once.
yeah. RR, man, right? We should make a video about movies that should have been nominated for Oscars and weren't.
RRR, Saltburn,
Challengers,
The Last Duel.
The Last Duel, like. Yeah, but this one isn't about that. This is about the ones that were nominated and which ones were the best. And yes, Everything All at Once stands the test of time and is still literally the
Yeah.
best movie that's come out in the last 3 years, bar none.
Literally, if people are talking about the best movies of the 2020s, like literally the only other movie that I will let a person utter from their mouth to be maybe in conversation is Oppenheimer. And even then, I'm like, it's my number two here, but it's not number one. It's not number
Yeah.
one.
But yeah, exactly. Again, like, and you get it. You're like, yeah, yeah. Like on the scale, what it is that it's so good while being so big and out there, right?
Yeah.
You would you have to have a movie where you are doing something that is huge and significant, right? Like a big, like Oppenheimer is just about a historical event that was taken to another level in its
Yeah.
depiction. It's not an everything ever all at once. That's why it's so impressive. Like it's such a crazy story to tell and still be that good. Because that story is so like out there in a way that it could easily fall apart if you do not hit everything correctly.
Literally that movie, like again, it's why it's baffling that they managed to pull it off because like it should not work, but it works so perfectly. It works in
But
a way that
it simply
yeah,
does.
yeah, it really it's just all right. I mean, we could just
Yeah, we could just talk about that forever. But that I mean that is the list. That's it. You know, everything everywhere tops the whole thing. But we talked about a lot of other great film on here that deserved to get mentioned again and deserve
yeah,
to
some
get,
honorable
noticed
mentions.
again.
Do you want to because you only have a couple, right?
Yeah, if I hit some honorable mentions, we actually really talked about a couple of them, ones that would
Yes.
have made it. If I go back and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull up the list of the movies again.
All right.
Um,
In that case, I'd like to just sort of name my honorable mentions. I I mean, I like I said, I sort of ranked all of them, but I'll try to limit myself to five.
mhm.
So Coda, obviously, you talked about it and it's stellar. Barbie, I mean, like it's a crowd pleaser. Like maybe it's not peak cinema by any means, but like I went and watched that shit in theaters three times and like say what you will, but like when that Billie Eilish song hits, when I'm just Ken hits, you can't tell me that that's not peak cinema right there.
Mhm.
The Power of the Dog again, like is it's a subtle movie, like like it's not necessarily for everyone, but it worked for me. Drive My Car again, it's a movie I kind of forgot about, but when I think back on it, it hits. And you already talked about it, but the holdovers.
Yep. You kind of hit a lot of the ones that I would also hit. You had Minari on your list. It was like probably like almost about my number 11. Like, I didn't rank the my honorable mentions, but Minari was probably right there behind. West Side Story was also like it was like I almost grabbed it for the short list, but it didn't quite make it onto the short list. Um, Drive My Car and Zone of Interest, both of them, again on reflect, I'm like, no, both of these, I'm like, I think about these ones, those were those again, subtle, powerful movies, right? In the test of time, they're not ones that like they call out to me and I come back to, but they are
Yeah.
powerful movies. They are really great, worth to watch. If you're the kind I would say, and here's a big thing is that, you got to consider, are you the kind of person that loves film? Do you love film? Do you appreciate like all kinds of film? If you're the average moviegoer and you don't really love film in general, some of these movies don't work. Maybe you're not gonna like love Drive My Car, right? Zone of
Yeah.
Interest might be a little boring in some ways. Like some of those movies that hit in a certain way could be boring if you're not really about it, right?
If
But
you're not on the same wavelength as a movie, I'd say honestly Minari's kind of could fit that. I think
mm,
I'm Still Here could fit that. Like where like
yeah.
if you're not prepared to take this movie on its level and like sort of like be ready to sort of like ride with this movie, then it could just seem like a boring thing where people are living their lives. but like when like if you are a film person and you've seen like you begin to understand what generic and like oh that was fine is, and you want something that is doing something else, you start looking and you start
Mhm.
like picking up on the subtleties of things. And it isn't in those subtleties where you can find a movie that sort of hits on a level you wouldn't get
Mhm.
otherwise.
Yeah. I will note, I will point out while we talked about maybe recency bias and stuff. Not, I don't think you named any honorable mentions that were from 2025, which I think speaks a little bit. Like even if you might like, oh, I picked some of these made it on the list, but I'm like, no, because I think they were significant. It's like if it was more recency bias, you would have seen maybe more of those. But I'm like, 20 this last Oscars, in my opinion, wasn't like the best Oscars as
It
far
was
as
a
movies.
little it was a little mid. If I kept going on my
Mhm.
honorable mentions, I would probably bring up something like a conclave or something.
Conclave
Um
was good. I just don't
Conclave
think
was
like even when I enjoyed Conclave, but again, it's like in the you put it against this whole list. It's like I would want to talk about other movies first, right?
it
There are more
I
profound movies that I'd like to get mentioned before I mention Conclave. Because Conclave was just like good,
yeah.
but like I'm gonna forget about Conclave in the future. I'm gonna come back and be like, oh, that was a good movie.
It's
That
gonna
was good.
it's gonna stand the test of time because people are gonna be like, it's the movie about the Pope election that came out right before a Pope election.
Yeah, they were like, oh, I understand how Pope election works because I watched this movie.
I'm pretty shocked that Stanley Tucci is not our current Pope, but like it is what it
Mhm.
is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll just have to accept that then. So,
Whatever.
but really great that we were able to come together and just take a look back at some of these very deserving movies. Um, any really last thoughts, maybe to sum it up here, brother?
Um, can I pick my three worst Best Pictures
Yes.
nominees? All
Yes.
right. My third worst is going to be from the year we did not talk about. So I never got to sort of say this out loud, but I think The Fablemans is just kind of like nothing. I don't like it's a very mid movie.
Like I totally respect that. I'm not like gonna really come to its defense. I don't. It's interesting. You say honestly, actually, you're kind of right. Like when I think about it, it really is just like kind of like okay, that was a movie, like well put together, but also like nothing really to like write home about or go
It
tell
feels
anybody.
important because it's about Steven Spielberg and he is important, but like the
Mhm.
movie itself is like okay, cool. Like, dude, you just did West Side Story before this. This, like, I know what you can do, and this ain't it. Um, my second worst is gonna be Nightmare Alley.
Dude,
It
Nightmare
should
Alley
have been a
was
great movie. It should have
yeah.
been good.
So that I remember looking back on when I was doing this list that I will like agree with you in that it's like wow, why wasn't that movie better?
Yeah, I think that's what makes it worse is that it's disappointing. And then
Yeah.
I think, like, honestly, though, I think both of those movies are not like oppressively bad. They're just like kind of disappointing and probably didn't deserve to get nominated. Don't Look Up is bad, and I
Don't look
will
up.
forever
Yeah.
stand by it being a bad movie.
I literally remember like that's another one where I reflected and like really got more into it and understood. I was like, wow. Looking at this list, why the fuck is this movie on this list?
it, it does not make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. But Challengers didn't make it on.
I,
Fucking
not,
RRR didn't make it
not the
on.
same year,
I know
but
not the same year, but I'm just saying like hey, this Academy put Don't Look Up on this list. What I'll throw out there in like I don't know about worse, but like movies to note that were like not, and again, this 2025 season was like pretty mid, but one movie that was really disappointing, even though it's like I wanted to like it, and there are things about it to like, Killers of the Flower Moon
that was
was a
not this
movie.
most recent season. It was last year's.
Was it? Yeah, I think it was 2024's.
Yeah, because it was the
Yeah,
same year as Oppenheimer.
yeah. Killers of the Flower Moon was a movie that I was really looking forward to. I literally told people to come with me. We all went and watched it, and it's a movie that they all like people will literally say they're like, oh yeah, that movie that Robert took us to see one time and it was bad. Like average person, it's bad. For me, that appreciates tries to appreciate film more. Even me, I'm like, that was such a slow burn that never got anywhere. Like it
I
just eventually it's like, and it's over. Like,
I don't think it's bad, but like it again, I do think that one's
yeah.
pretty mid.
Martin
Like
Scorsese and Leo in a movie like should have had way more steam than that.
I can't remember her name, but the lead actress I think was really good. I see
Yeah.
people saying that Robert De Niro should have won an Oscar for that movie. I'm like, y'all are fucking crazy. People
Yeah.
think Robert De Niro should have beaten Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah,
That is
absolutely not.
wild to me.
Absolutely not. But yeah, throw out a couple more of those that I wanted to, note that just to put it out there. I'm like, and again, that's a lot of these are in reflection. Reflection, I'm like, yeah, I think I like Don't Look Up that year, but I did know it wasn't that good. And the more I thought about it, I was like, man, the movie was like movie was definitely bad compared to any other like nominee. But hindsight's 2020. So otherwise, if that's it, I think we're signing off here. That is our top 10 from the last 5 years.
The 2020 so far, there's some highs, um, there's some lows, but we got everything everywhere all at once out of it,
Mhm.
and that sort of gives me hope that crazy impactful movies can still come out and still sort of like change the way I look at cinema, and that gives me hope for every movie going forward.
Absolutely, positively, my brother. But I think that's going to be it for us. For now, this has been Robert,
I'm Ryan.
and we'll see you next time, folks.
Yeet.